And welcome to the Big Decision 2023. I'm your host, Will Kings, with your head of news at Raw 12:51 a.m.
I'm Rebecca Cole, the station manager at Raw. After a long week, and it will be a long week for all the campaigners who are about to join us on air, of campaigning, questions and much more. It is time. The votes have come in. We've had a look at them. We're ready to announce your next officers for the SU.
Yeah, this evening we'll be announcing your new part-time and full-time officers, including obviously the most important role, your new SU president, at around 9:30. We also have exclusive interviews with some of your current officer team, chats with this evening winners, as well as a quick look back on the last week of campaigning, as it has been a really good one.
And if you can't tell already, we're coming to you live from the Students' Union. Thank you for joining us wherever you are on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on our socials throughout the night. So do keep update on our socials for the updates throughout the evening.
Yeah, and wherever you're watching us from, you can get involved on the live streams by either commenting on them or tweeting us at Raw 12:51 a.m. or at Raw News Warwick using the hashtags Big Decision 2023 and Warwick SU Elections 23. Make sure to keep the comments nice, obviously. We don't want to be criticising any winners, and we want to keep it nice and respectful this evening as well.
So let's get started, shall we, Will? So we're going to start with announcing the part-time officers.
So, your part-time officers represent students within our liberation communities by raising awareness and running campaigns to lobby SU and the university. They aim to make the changes in the interest of marginalised students at Warwick, while also continuing with their degrees at the same time.
Yeah, your part-time officers also sit on the SU's Liberation and Diversity Committee and are full voting members in the Student Council, giving them considerable influence over the future of the SU.
Tonight we're announcing the results of 7 part-time officers. These are the Women's Officer, the Widening Participation Officer, the Environment and Ethics Officer, the LGBTQUA+ Officer, the Trans Student Officer, the Disabled Students Officer, and the Ethnic Minorities Officer.
Definitely a lot to get through this evening. Let's kick it off with the first part-time officer, which is going to be the Women's Officer. Now, if you don't know, they are responsible for representing all self-defining female students and for raising awareness and addressing issues faced by female students at the SU and the university. They are also at the forefront of the SU's anti-sexism campaigning in all forms and for responsible for organising and raising awareness of the SU's anti-sexist campaigning efforts, most notably during International Women's Week. They also lobby for change on behalf of all self-defining female students at the university. So your women's officer for the forthcoming year is Bella Siegel.
Hi, I'm really overcome with adrenaline and excitement and everything. I'll keep it very short. First of all, thank you to everyone who came out to vote. I've just been told that voting has been up, turnout has been up by 20%, which is absolutely amazing to see people engaging in SU politics in this way. I'm very excited. Thank you to the other candidates for running. It's been a really amazing campaign. I've really enjoyed seeing just where our demands kind of overlap and where we can move from here. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really pleased to be representing women at Warwick. Yeah. Which way to go?
You go. Thank you and well done to Bella there. Next we have the Widening Participation Officer. They represent all students from widening participation backgrounds, including those from poorer socioeconomic backgrounds. They also represent students from areas where there is low up progression to higher education in their community, students who are the first in their family to go to university, as well as care leavers and young carers. Alongside representing those students, the Widening Participation Officer co-chairs the university's Widening Participation Student Advisory Group and becomes an exec member of the Widening Participation Students Association. So let's get straight into it. So your new Widening Participation Officer for the forthcoming year is Maya Kerr.
Hello, I'd just like to say thank you for everyone who voted for me. Thank you to my campaign team, Dominic, Sim and Philip. It's been a long week, but I loved speaking to everyone on campus. And it was so lovely to get to meet you all. I can't wait to make a change. And as a first generation student, this is so close to my heart. If any of you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me on Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is. Can't wait to do loads of amazing things for this university. Thank you.
Well done, Maya. What a it's such great to see enthusiastic candidates come in and be so excited, and I can't wait for the energy to only increase throughout the evening. So let's move on now to the Environment and Ethics Officer. Now, if you don't know, they are responsible for promoting a more ethical and sustainable SU and university by increasing student awareness of climate change issues and helping run campaigns dedicated towards combating those issues and promoting net zero on campus. They will also work with the development exec to lobby the SU and university to adopt more ethical and sustainable practices throughout the university, while supporting students in accessing the university's Environment and Sustainability Fund. So without further ado, the next Environment Ethics Officer is James Varney.
Hi, I'm proud to have been elected your Environment and Ethics Officer for the next academic year. I'm glad that students voted for an active SU which prioritises environmental and social justice. I will fight for students in any way I can, whether that's improving the bus service or better bike facilities. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who voted for me, and a big thank you to my campaigns team as well for all their hard work that they've put in. Thank you again, and if you've got any queries or questions about my campaign, my manifesto, or what I will do in office, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you to James. They're obviously looking to provide environmental and ethics part-time for the next academic year. The next role we're going to announce is the LGBTQIA+ officer. They will be responsible for representing all self-defining LGBTQIA+ students by helping raise awareness for issues faced by the LGBTQIA+ student community and lobbying the SU and the university for change to this effect. They will also be responsible for planning awareness events and campaigns, most notably during Warwick Pride Week. So let's dive straight into it. Your new LGBTQIA+ officer for the coming year is Dixon Jr. Gao Chung.
Hiya. It's good having you. Very glad to hear the results. Looking forward to representing the community and delivering on manifesto promises. It's been an exciting journey, and I've got to thank my campaigns team for putting up with me and my antics. Wasn't really many people to campaign against, but trust me, even though that was the case, I campaigned hard, and I'm going to make sure I put that same effort into delivering on my manifesto and representing the community and hosting those events, etc., working with Pride, Plan, and the LGBT community on campus. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you all for voting for me. Appreciated. It's good turnout, especially since there's only one candidate. But candidate put up a manifesto at least. But thank you. I'll see you around, and I hope my profile picture on the SU page is good. But yeah, thanks.
Great to see so many excited candidates this evening. We'll be back shortly to continue with the rest of the part-time officer results. We've got coming up the trans student officer, disabled student officer and ethnic minorities officers yet to announce this evening. But firstly, we're going to look back over this long week, as we've said, of campaigning. We've got a bit of a campaigning highlight video for you now.
Yeah, so welcome back to The Big Decision, our coverage of the election results. For tonight, obviously, we are announcing currently some of the part-time, and then we'll be moving on to the full-time student officers. I mean, Rebecca, it's obviously a big night of the year, especially with part-time and full-time officers playing such a big role in the student union and playing such a big role in helping the uni and the students sort of connect with one another.
Yeah, and it definitely is. And as a society who very much operate in this building, if you recognise this background, then you probably know that Raw's offices are just above us. Then we see the candidates do a lot of work throughout this building, looking very stressed at times, looking very busy at times, running through so many events. I mean, we had a lot of candidates doing all sorts of work in the lead up to this, saying so many great things in their manifestos. And we've seen this so much throughout the year with our SU staff. And it's been really fantastic. And I know that the next SU officers and vice presidents and president, obviously running up to the end of the night, we're going to announce the president coming up, have got so many great plans for next year. And it's quite exciting to see what's coming up.
And obviously as well, it's almost as students don't tend to see what the sort of SU does on a full-time basis. I mean, I think it's fair to say a lot of us don't go in many of the buildings on campus very focused on our degrees, but this building is so close to everything else. It's very easy to access, and you do come in and see what the SU can do.
Definitely. And for those watching online, live, do check out our social media, #BigDecision2023 and Warwick SU Elections 23. We are waiting for some of the part-time officer candidates in the building, but we can get straight on to announcing the trans student officer now. They are not going to be giving a speech, but without further ado, if you want to know a little bit more about what they do, they will represent all self-defining trans students at Warwick University. They ensure the SU is addressing the needs of trans students and raise awareness of the issues trans students face amongst the university community. While lobbying for change, they will plan awareness events, including as part of Pride Week, and campaign oppression of LGBTQIA+ students in all its forms, while also sitting on the SU Liberation and Diversity Committee. So without further ado, your next trans student officer is Dorian Henry. And I believe they're not coming on stage, so we'll just give them a round of applause. Unless they are coming on. Oh, great, hello.
Okay, hi. I just want to thank everyone who's voted for me. I want to thank all of my campaigns team because they are very cool people, and my partner who is incredibly supportive and great, and I love them very much. I am very excited to work with everyone else who has been elected to try to make campus a safe and inclusive space that isn't only just like for trans students, but also, I suppose, just makes them feel a part of it and includes them in decisions that are made. So thank you very much for everything. I really appreciate the votes and the help and everything so much. Thank you.
Thank you there to Dorian. Well, congratulations on her win.
Before we move on to the next election, I believe we have election results. I believe we have a clip to play about Raw and the society. So if we head to that clip now, if you want to know a little bit more about Raw, we'll be sharing throughout the election coverage, but watch and see.
This is your student radio station.
I learned to live half a life.
Welcome to the first Articulator.
What is the last insight of what has been the craziest academic year?
We had to decide to close the station.
Big Nasty has just come off the stage.
Phones Now by Phil Jupitus.
So, Stuart Croft, Vice-Chancellor, and as I said before, looking forward to your questions.
Hello and welcome back to Articulate. I am now joined by Wuds.
Welcome to The Big Decision.
Next President of Warwick Students' Union is Shingai Zambira.
To Raw's broadcast in a...
Took a big bite of a lemon with a peel on.
Okay.
Who do you think you are? Right over them, yes you will.
This is your student radio station.
This is Raw 12:51 AM.
Hello and welcome back to The Big Decision. Obviously, you just saw there what we get up to at the radio station. Obviously, Rebecca, you are our station manager. Would you encourage people to get involved? I feel like might be a bit of a biased answer here.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, as someone who's leaving this year and very sad to leave the station, please come and join. And I'm so sad because I won't get to meet some of the people watching this and coming on. I even gave a lecture to first years the other day, and someone just came up and asked me about the station, and it was really sweet. And we've had so much engagement this year, and being able to have more tech and visual people on to do our coverage of this varsity that's going to be discussed later, our Battle of the Bands coverage. It's been really fantastic, and I think that clip, although gives some justice, doesn't give full justice to everything we do at the station. I think you, as someone who's also been on exec, would agree with, for 2 years, would agree with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's definitely not just about the big events, as you mentioned there, varsity, Battle of the Bands. It's also just about doing your own show about anything you want every week. We're going to jump straight back into announcing some of the part-time officers. We're up to our penultimate announcement, and this is the Disabled Students Officer. They represent all self-defining disabled students on campus, raising awareness faced by disabled students, particularly concerning accessibility in academic studies and social events. As part of that, they lobby the university and the SU for change, and also plan events for Disability Awareness Week and run campaigns against ableism in all its forms. We'll dive straight into it. Your next Disabled Students Officer is Mads Wilson.
Hello. I really do want to just say thank you so much to everyone who's voted for me, and thank you to my campaign team. I really could not have done it without you. You've all been an incredible force, and thank you to all of my friends who have helped to support me through this process. And yeah, I'm really thankful that I've been elected. I hope to deliver my intersectional people-led approach. So if you're a disabled student, I hope I will be speaking to you soon. And thank you for your votes.
Thank you so much for that, and congratulations. We're ready to congratulate the final part-time officer, who is the Ethnic Minorities Officer. But first, we are about to invite on stage, one of the SU SABs who's been here for the last 2 years, Chi, who is a fantastic member of the SU, and we can't wait to have a bit of discussion about life as an SU candidate and everything that involves. So, Chi, we'll head over to the sofas now. So, welcome to the big decision where you're not running. How is that for a start? Because you've done this twice, I believe.
Yes, twice. One word, relieved.
Yes.
I don't have to run again. That I'm actually capped, and I can't. I literally can't run. So I guess the anxiety of deciding whether or not to run or not, didn't have that this year.
Yeah.
So much more relaxed, and it's far funner, in my opinion, just watching.
Just
on
to
the
watch
sidelines.
what's going on.
Watching people run around like headless chickens, getting votes, but I'm just sitting there, just staring.
You're just watching the chaos
No.
unfold. Obviously, you have been in 2 roles over your last 2 years at the uni. Did you have a favourite? Did you have one that you preferred over the other, or were they both as good as each other?
I think each has their pros and cons. With societies, you do generally do the fun stuff. So, like, for example, I had the opportunity to judge some films. I was to judge, like, a dance contest with CMD, got invited. With education, you don't really get that. But with societies, you have to deal with a lot of these sort of small issues which sort of build up, and they're sometimes quite annoying. But I think, on the whole, quite even.
I would like to say you didn't share your highlights with Raw, because I remember one of your first week in your first week of socks, didn't we get you on to sing in our Freshers Week last year?
You might have.
I think, did we sing Barbie Girl?
You might have sung a bit of Barbie Girl.
We were doing karaoke in Freshers Week. I remember in socks you did get involved in our charity week, didn't you? Help with Taskmaster as well.
Oh yes.
So it's a very hands-on role, I think, throughout the SU, and it must be a tough one, but also it has its great rewards. I mean, really, one big question: what are you going to miss the most about being in the SU?
I think a lot of staff members in this SU are really fun to work with. I'll probably will miss sort of going to work and sort of speaking to them and sort of interacting with them. So that's probably what I will miss the most out of it.
Yeah, maybe on the other side of that, while the jobs can be fun, they may also be stressful as well. So are there any parts of the job that maybe you won't miss as much?
Student complaints of society. Society's going to be like, this happened, and trying to solve them. That was always difficult.
Do you have any advice, not just for the next SOCS officer, but for the next officers being announced this evening? Throughout your 2 years, what few pieces of advice, even if it's not just how to deal with societies, but how to look after your own well-being throughout the stressful job period?
Yeah, take time off when you need to. So I think you have 20 days of leave, and also you've got toil you can use out throughout your time. In my first year, I didn't use it that much because I just didn't, and that really burnt me out, especially towards the beginning and the end of term 2. So I would recommend sort of using those days off, when you want to. If you need a break, just take it and just sort of pace yourself. You got an entire year, and you got an entire year to do what you need to do, so you don't need to rush it, especially. So that's my biggest advice, just making sure your well-being is your main priority.
That's really great advice, and for candidates campaigns team surely watching this evening, please do check up on your friends who have run in these elections and get voted in, because it's a long year of doing great things, but it's definitely worth taking a break. I do notice actually the SU have some brilliant resources just as you come in the building. I don't know how much you have to deal with that, but there's a lot of kind of well-being books there for students to take, and I don't think a lot of students realise that those resources are there, or that they can come in these buildings and the resources. So do you have any advice on students? I think a lot of societies don't come into the building, and I think it should be utilised more through societies. Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely. So, the SU has a lot of different services which, helping students generally. We've got the advice centre, which having issues, do your degree or life in general, they can give you, free impartial advice, and that's a service which I encourage students to use, especially. And also, as an SU itself, it's a great place to just sort of hang out. For example, the space we're in at the moment is it's normally a seated area. I see a lot of people here often, and encourage people just to use the space. And
yeah, and thank you, and we'll have you back later on to obviously discuss the role of president, obviously just before we announce our student union president. But I think we're ready to announce the results of the race for ethnic minorities officer. So once again, thank you. We'll head back to the podium now, and we will final part-time officer that we are announcing today is the Ethnic Minorities Officer. They represent all self-defining ethnic minority students and are responsible for raising awareness of and addressing issues faced by ethnic minority students in the SU and the university. They lobby for change to help with that and are also at the forefront of the student union's anti-racism campaigning in all its forms and are responsible for organising this and other events, raising awareness of all the SU's anti-racism campaigning efforts. So, without further ado, your Ethnic Minorities Officer for the upcoming academic year is Naya Marcus-Taylor.
Hi, thank you. I want to say thank you to my campaign team, of course, my friends, Ore, Simran, and Eddie, for even just like helping me feel confident enough to like tell them about my passion about the SU and being a student here. So I'm really happy about that. I'm also so thankful for everyone that voted for me and that believed in my manifesto and my goals for the SU. And together we can make a more diverse experience for everyone here. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you to Naya there. And yeah, that has been all of our part-time officer roles have been announced, all 7 results, and we'll just run through them now. So we have had Bella Segal, Mayaka, James Varney, Dixon Junior Gauchung, Dorian Henry, Maz Henry, and Naya Marcus Taylor. We're now going to move on to the full-time officer roles.
So we're moving on now to the full-time officer roles. These officers will be working on your behalf to represent you throughout the next academic year, lobbying and campaigning the university and more widely throughout the community to deliver the best student experience. But first, we'll go over to Will and the current VP for Democracy and Development, Jack Sperry, to talk about the role of democracy and development, but of course, what this week has entailed with the campaigns, if you haven't caught everything so far.
Yeah, hi Jack, how are you doing?
Good. Happy it's over.
Happy, nothing going wrong.
Nothing's
nothing
gone wrong. Nothing's
wrong.
gone wrong. Nothing ever goes wrong, actually.
No, but obviously it has been a very successful week in terms of how we have had like a week of campaigning, a week of people trying to win votes. Have you been happy with how it's gone, how the campaigns, how the questions have gone from all the candidates?
Yeah, I think we've had a great range of candidates this year, some very competitive races, and I think everyone did themselves proud, and we increased the vote by 20%, which I think is a very important thing.
Yeah, that's good. What the figure almost just missing out on that 5,000
almost
mark.
Almost.
That a bit
we
annoying.
can round it if we need to.
Yeah, we'll round it up. But obviously, democracy very important. As part of the SU, as part of the university, not only with these votes, but with also the all-student votes that do take place each term. How important is it to you that democracy is allowed to happen, allowed to take place, and obviously that people get involved as well?
So democracy is obviously very important. We're not just legally required; we are legally required to do it. But it's also the thing that it's what our whole organisation is about. Every direction we take is democratic. And we try to do everything in the interest of students, and that's in all student votes. Obviously, spring officer elections gets a bit more attention, but all student votes are also very, very important because they decide the policy which the officers are obligated to do. So it is very important that we do it, and yeah.
So I mean, obviously, sometimes we don't see maybe the turnout you'd expect or you'd want at the all student vote. So why would you encourage students to not only take part in these elections, which we've seen almost 5,000 students have cast their vote, but also going from this, taking part in those all-student votes where policies that do dictate the direction of the SU, not just yearly but termly, are debated.
Yeah, so I mean, actually interesting though, in our spring ASB this year, we did actually increase it quite a lot from last year's equivalent because sometimes people get a bit of a voter lag, but. It's very important. I would encourage people to do it, but it's also about not just engaging at the voter side of it, but also engaging at the submitting of a motion or engaging any of our democratic structures. Because the more relevant policies that are submitted through the ASB, which I think we've had quite a few this year, the more likely students are going to be active about it and want to vote for it.
Yeah, and obviously this is the end of your tenure as Democracy and Development Officer. So you've got one more term, but then obviously you will leave the role at the end of the year. What advice would you give to the next person to take up your role?
I mean, there's still about 5 months left, so there's still a lot of time and a lot of things we can get done. I would say the advice is, especially early on, to ask questions. Nobody expects you to actually really know everything in the role. This goes to when you go to university committees. Ask about it. Ask about the governance structures. Ask which way it's going, and just ask staff for some advice. Just nobody assumes that you know everything, so make sure you just ask any and all questions you have.
Yeah, and thank you to Jack there. We're going to pass it back to Rebecca, who will begin to announce the first of our full-time officer roles.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. I'll come up here now and you can announce the winner. But before you do, let's just go through a little bit about what the Democracy and Development Vice President will be doing over the next year. Obviously, Jack summarised it for us nicely there, but they will be responsible for the function of the SU's democracy by helping to initiate and ensure compliance with the SU's democratic processes and policies. Amongst their development responsibilities, they will oversee the running of the SU's commercial operations, development issues including housing and transport, and work on sustainability projects within the SU. To announce the result, please welcome back the current Democracy and Development Officer, Jack Sperry.
Thank you very much. So obviously congratulations to the new winner, which I'll announce in a moment. This is a very important role. Obviously, and it takes into account democracy. So I'm very happy to announce that the next Vice President for Democracy and Development for 2023-2024 academic year is Sophie Clark.
Hello, what do I say? What do I do? Do I just talk? Oh yeah. I'm Sophie. I'm your next Democracy and Development Officer at Warwick SU. I've run a campaign around cost of living this last week. I think that in the context of the last month, where every single weekend there's been multiple fascist demos up and down the country and people are mobilising for it, I think it's important that we place what's happening here in that context. Above that, I ran last year, lost by 100 votes, but very good to see the 300 vote margin today. Free Palestine.
Thank you so much for that, and congratulations, Sophie, for winning that position. We are about to announce the VP for Sports, but while we wait for the candidates to be coming, sports has been a phenomenally campaigned role throughout this week. I've seen so many candidates running and being at question times. It's been great to see. So it's a really exciting one to announce this evening after such a long week of campaigning for all that are involved. Congratulations to all campaigners for a cracking job. But to give a little understanding in case you don't know of what sports does, so the Sports VP is the public face of sports on campus, working with sports clubs and their members to encourage students to take up sport and help them during professional competitions. They also promote physical and well-being and mental well-being and lobby the university to make sport more inclusive and accessible to all. Your winner and absolute congratulations is Emma Birch.
Thank you. Is this mic? Yeah. I think I haven't actually got a speech prepared because this campaign was really, really tense and it was really close. I just want to say thank you to my opponents, Henry and Sanchit. They made it a very, very, very tense week for me. It was crazy. I'm really, really, really excited about getting elected again. I honestly actually didn't expect it. I want to continue on my projects that I've been doing the past year, and I really want to make a difference to sport at Warwick. I want to thank sort of my campaign team. So I'm going to try and remember them all now. Manvir, Archie, Kieran, Ben, Adriana, everyone has been absolutely amazing. So thank you very, very much.
being re-elected to the role. How are you feeling?
Honestly, I'm still so tense. This campaign was absolutely crazy. So I just honestly want to say well done to Sanchit and Henry as well. It was crazy. It was crazy. So.
Yeah, and obviously with it now you'll be going into your second year.
Yeah.
In the role. What sort of things that you've said in your manifesto are you looking forward to implementing in the next year and over these next 5 months as well? You've almost got a year and a half to do it.
I can't wait to change up varsity. I'm so excited. Honestly, I wanted to change varsity so bad, and I really wanted to continue my trans inclusion work for trans athletes to be able to participate in sport in books, which is British University College Sport. So I'm really, really excited to be able to get a chance to do that.
Yeah. And was there anything specific that drove you to be or stand and then obviously win another year as sports officer?
I think honestly, I learned a lot in this year, and I think I've been able to do some good things. But I've learned a lot about sort of how what things are possible. I've got the knowledge to be able to go into second year and try and make it sort of the best year yet for sports. And I've already started conversations regarding the cost of sport, regarding women in sport and trans inclusion. So it's carrying those on and having the platform to do so. That's why I ran again.
Yeah, and is it? I mean, what specifically about sports at Warwick? What does that mean to you? Obviously, it does mean a lot. You ran for sports officer last year. You did win it again this year, so it must mean something special.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I am absolutely obsessed with sport. I love it. It's just my whole life, and this job has been amazing, and I've absolutely loved every second of it. It's been tough, it's been challenging, but it's always been good to be able to really try my best. And I just want to make a difference at sport at Warwick. That's what I want to do, anyway.
Yeah, obviously, many congratulations.
Thank you.
On winning the role of VP for Sports. Again, we're going to go back to Rebecca Cole now.
Well done, Emma. It's clearly been a stressful week, as we've said, for many candidates. Along with the SU coverage, this coverage has been brought to you by RAW, as we say, your student radio station at the heart of campus and at the heart of the SU. We are literally just above where we're hosting this today. If you're enjoying tonight's show and fancy joining us on air or behind the scenes, then we've shown you a bit of a camera and a bit of a video of a taste of what you can expect. But just to talk on that briefly, as the society hosting, before we get and announce the next SOX officer, well, if you'd like to join me, how much can we say about Raw? There's so many things. My highlights of what I've been involved in, Big Decision is one of them, the live events are great. But there's been on-air shows as well that have been fantastic. Like we spoke to how we did karaoke on air. Yeah. But it's not even just the shows we run our own. I think guessing on other people's shows are fantastic as well. So have there been particular moments where you've guessed on a show that's not your own, that's been... have you been on any of the quite random shows on air, or have you stuck to the news and the sports?
I think it has sort of been news and sport. I mean, I know I sort of started taking part of it in first year, and I think for our year especially, with the pandemic being at the start of 2020, 2021, it's very different times.
We did, for those of you who weren't here 2 years ago, and we sound very old by saying this, and I hate the fact that we're even saying that, when we started at Raw, we were recording our shows on Zoom, editing them in Audacity and uploading them like that, rather than being on campus. And I don't know about you, but when I was head of arts, was my first show on air and in the studio. So when you were head of sport, it must have been your first show in the studio as well, which was an interesting experience. But for those of you who don't know, we actually have 2 studios, one that we are broadcasting live from all of the time, and a studio 2 that we can rent out for podcasting spaces, which has been fantastic. But that's just one of many examples of the things we do at Raw. I think for me, a special show that I've done is my first ever show. So it was less of the conventional like yours. So my show was a murder mystery show, and I scripted an entire murder mystery to myself and read it out on air by myself, and at the end of it revealed the murder. And I think that's quite like a niche show that really exemplifies that you can do a show on whatever you like on air, and you can get involved in the events like this, which is a fantastic example of all the sorts of things that you can do on Raw. But that's one of many societies and we are slowly now bringing on the society's candidate, who is the next winner and the next SOX officer.
Yeah, so we are going to do the next society's VP. Obviously, has been a role that has taken part this year. One of the candidates that has been society's officer is running for president, which we will announce in a bit. But first, I'll tell you a bit about what the society's VP does. They're responsible for supporting and guiding the hundreds of societies here at Warwick, helping society execs with decision-making, budgets and training, and helping to develop and promote their events. They're also responsible for running the Societies Fair. Obviously, if you were a fresher, you may have seen that take place right at the start in Freshers Week, a place where every society can take part, can promote their society to all the new students coming in as well, and helping ensure societies are the focal point of the student experience. But first, we need...
Before we announce the next candidate, I do believe we have a video prepared, another Raw-related clip for those who want to get a bit of a taster of what's going on.
This is your student radio station.
I learned to live half a life.
Welcome to the first Articulate.
What is the last insight of what has been the craziest academic year?
We had to decide to close the station.
Big Nasty was just come off the stage.
Phones Now by Phil Jupitus.
So, Stuart Croft, Vice Chancellor, and as I said before, looking forward to your questions.
Hello and welcome back to Articulate. I am now joined by Wuds.
Welcome to the Big Decision.
Next president of Warwick Students' Union is Shingai Zambira.
To Raw's broadcast in 8.
Took a big bite of a lemon with the peel on.
Okay.
Who do you think you are? Right over there, yes you will.
This is your student radio station.
This is Raw 1251 AM.
Yeah, so obviously we were discussing there about societies. You just saw the campaign and the raw video, and we're going to throw it over to Rebecca, who is with the current society's VP, Anna Taylor, and is going to ask her a few questions about the role.
Hello, Anna.
Hi.
Nice to see you again. I can ask you so many questions about how hard it is to deal with, as we spoke about with societies running up to you and saying, oh, we have this problem, like I've done with you this year, as the president of Raw, who's you see maybe one of the most often, because I'm in this building.
Always a pleasure, though.
But I'll still ask, what are your highlights of the role? What are the advice for... We'll start off with highlights, yeah.
Sure. I mean, it really is one of those roles that changes every day. I feel extremely privileged that of the officers, the full-time officers anyway, my role is probably the one that sees the most kind of face-to-face student interaction. I take great joy in kind of seeing people come into my office, even though sometimes it can be a little bit stressful when there's 3 people waiting and I've got to go to a meeting and there's 2 people outside. Ultimately, there's nothing I really like more than having a chat with someone and kind of being able to solve a problem that's come up. And also, I ran for this reason and it's been the highlight of the job is seeing all of the people in SOCS doing what they love. Societies are where people go to explore their passions and kind of do things that they're really proud of outside of their academics. Definitely. And there's something really kind of fulfilling about helping make that happen.
Now those are the highlights, but what are the stresses?
Well,
you're allowed to say more.
Okay, something that everyone told me once I started this job. Not before I started this job, once I'd got it, once I was in, and I'll stand by this, is that SOCS is the hardest FTO role because you're essentially like trying to help manage 300 different small little bubbles at once. Literal societies. And like
the way that we operate.
Yeah, and some of that, it can be really simple, like they're not sure which team in the SU to kind of send something to, and it can take 2 seconds to just help them find where to go. But other things can be kind of an internal dispute that you need to help mediate, and it takes 2 weeks to actually get to a resolution, or somebody's crash mat gets stolen and you end up chasing people down in car parks in the middle of the night kind of thing. Like it's it really is one of those jobs that varies every single day, and you can't predict what's going to be in your inbox or kind of at your office door when you come in the morning. So I think the scale is something that is hard to manage, but ultimately it is made easy by the people that you end up seeing when you're doing it, because it's really hard to be upset or to not appreciate helping people do things that they love to do.
Yeah, I completely get that with the stresses of some of the society stuff that we have sometimes, especially with our big events. At the end of the day, we're all doing it because we love it, and I'm sure you've seen that with such a variety of societies throughout this year. Now, I'm sure you're going to be coaching, as we're about to announce the next SOCS officer, throughout your last term in office. But after you saying, like, I don't know if you've coached the people currently running in the fact that it's a very hard position to be in. What basic advice you'd want to share with us all now that's might apply to all roles, but specifically for SOCS?
I think it's take it as it comes. It's a hard thing to learn, but sometimes things aren't going to burn down immediately. You can take 5 minutes and talk to the right people, get a second opinion, and then do the job properly rather than having to feel that you must solve it immediately, and that you're not doing it on your own. It's easy to think, I am the only one in this building that can fix this problem, and because it's landed in my inbox, I have to be the one to deal with it. But there's actually a really solid kind of staff team and support network in kind of the SU. And so it's important to lean on the people around you who have been here longer, know what they're doing, and can help you figure it out as you go along.
And speaking of the SU, when we were talking with Chi earlier, we were talking about the resources as we come in, the wellbeing resources. And I think it's a little example of, if you don't come in this building, you don't know what's in here. And I think as a society, as we keep saying, that are in this building, we actually kind of know what's going on and what's more offered, but a lot of societies just don't. So I wonder whether you could talk to any of the resources that some societies are missing out on in this building, but also contacts that they might not have, or kind of general what resources are a lot of societies missing out, because I think the SU do way more than most students and societies realise most of the time.
Sure. So I mean, this is a problem that we've kind of encountered quite frequently this year. Is that
after COVID as well.
Yep, a lot of people didn't have like a firm internal handover in their society. They might have had kind of the more experienced exec members graduate before a new kind of exec could be formed. Not as much kind of colloquial knowledge learned through seeing other people do stuff.
Especially with us doing our Battle of the Bands coverage, we had a complete fresh team doing a Battle of the Bands coverage who've never done it before, and we just had to kind of learn as we went with all of our previous people who've done it before COVID graduating.
Yeah.
So I suppose you've got that a lot this year.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's stuff like that. Essentially, my first advice is always to just come in and say hello, because it's easy to put the worlds to right if we can just sit down and have a chat. We have an amazing student activities team here, so they do support for events and planning your balls and your trips and your tours. And we've got a finance team that help put through all of your money requests and make sure that you can be reimbursed for things that you spend money on in your society. If it's just a case of, I don't know how to solve, like 2 of my exec members are fighting and I don't really know how to solve the situation, we can help with all of that. So it's my first and most important advice would always be just pop in and say hello.
Great, thanks so much for that, Anna. We're going to hand over to Will to talk a little bit more about what the SOCS officer does, and then you can go and join him on the podium now to announce the winner. Cool.
Yeah, so obviously, as Anna said there, the SOCS officer managing a lot of different societies, a very high octane job, and yeah, now it is time to announce, or for Anna to announce the winner of the society's VP. So hello, over to you.
Well, I am pleased to announce Max Pike is the winner of Vice President of Societies this year. So congratulations, Max. Yeah. Well, you did it.
Thank you, Anna, for that. That's brilliant. You can hear me okay? Oh, awesome. Brilliant. Thank you, guys. I'm really, really happy to hear the result. I received it earlier, and honestly, I was just really, really excited. I've really enjoyed this campaign, even regardless of winning or not. I've met loads of amazing people, and I've got to say thank you for everyone who just came up to me and said hi. I've met so many amazing people. I also want to say thank you to my family. They've been really, really supportive. My lovely girlfriend Talia, particularly Ben Reddy, Antonio, Nixon, Heck for making my very, very silly TikToks. I got a lot of laughs out of that. So honestly, I'm really, really happy and so thankful for everyone that helped me out. And yeah, no, really, really excited, and I want to take societies to the max. Chole!
Thanks, Max. Please come take a seat. Well, firstly, congratulations. How does it feel winning?
It feels great, to be fair. I mean, like I was still nervous because I think I don't know. I was just on edge, and you can't. And I stopped thinking about it. It's been something I've been thinking about for months and planning for, and eventually popping the nomination and all that. And suddenly, just to hear it, it is immense relief, but also you don't quite believe it. So I'm really excited.
And you say you've been planning. How has the campaigning been going?
It's been really amazing. I wanted to be proud of the campaign, and most importantly, try and get some fun out of it as well. So I tried to do some silly videos. I tried to meet as many people as possible. Maybe do a few campaign stunts. I wanted it to be fun and capture people's attention, because I think SU engagement is really important. And I really wanted to raise turnout, even if people didn't end up voting in my own election. So yeah, no, it went really well. Don't get me wrong, it was really nerve-wracking as well. But no, I overall enjoyed it, even though it was very, very intense. Very tired now.
Yeah, and you say planning, not just planning for this week, now that you've been elected, planning for this year. So you've obviously released a manifesto and spoken about it throughout the week. But what out of the manifesto that you've written are you most looking forward to planning and putting in action now that you've got the position? Obviously, it doesn't start yet, but once you're in the role.
Well, first of all, I'm really, really excited about, I've been really, really passionate about in, preparing for this campaign, writing the manifesto, is smoothing exec transfers, because it seems very administrative and boring, but what it really means is getting more people involved with societies, making societies flow better, making it more enjoyable for execs, making it more enjoyable for members. And it seems like a really boring administrative process, but smoothing that handover from my information maintenance framework, making current handover packs more accessible. I really, really, the idea that I'd actually have to contribute to that and so many other people's passions really excites me. But also looking forward to the next 6 months, or almost 6 months, even though I don't start until August. Being societies committee, I still get to contribute a little bit to societies. So I'm really excited as we're thinking about planning what a potential societies awards could look like this year. And that's something, on my mind at the moment, helping out with Anna and people on the societies committee. That's really exciting. And so that's sort of where my focus really is right now. But definitely excited though.
That's great. And one last question. First day in the role, what are you doing? What are you looking forward to? Walking into the office, sitting down, logging into your email. What do you want to expect? What's your first mission?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important to really connect with my colleagues. FTOs work together. A lot of efforts are team efforts, and so definitely making sure we've all had a nice good chinwag and all fit into the office. I think is a really good start. But definitely, I really want to start with the manifesto straight away, and also things I've come up with and talked to people about during the campaign and people expressing their concerns as I've met people. One of the things I wanted to commit was talking to every single president and having a proper conversation with every president of a society within my first 6 months, and that's going to start from day one. If anything, it will probably start a little bit before that. But from day one, starting communication is going to be absolutely key. So I'm really looking forward to that, both within and outside the SU.
Great. I mean, definitely the next president of Raw will be very grateful for that, and we'll be excited to meet you. Thanks so much, and congratulations again, Max.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Right, where do I go?
That way.
That way. Awesome. Right. Cheers, Ned.
Yep, and once again, obviously, congratulations to Max on his victory there. The next result we're going to announce tonight is the result for Welfare and Campaigns VP. They'll be leading on policy and campaigns to improve student welfare at Warwick, covering issues such as mental health, sexual health and accommodation. They'll work with the SU and the university's welfare services to ensure equal opportunities for all students and run and assist student campaigns, especially on liberation issues. Obviously, we might want to know a bit more about the role, so we are now joined by the current VP for Welfare and Campaigns. I'll throw it back to Rebecca as we'll ask Tommy a few questions about the role.
We've been asking everyone, what's the highlight of the role this year?
I think feeling like you're making a difference. I think Welfare and Campaigns is one of those roles where you're really dealing with cases, really dealing with campaigns that feel like they're making a difference. So I think that's probably the thing that has meant the most to me.
Definitely. And what's the low parts as well?
I'd say the role has quite a broad remit, so you feel yourself like juggling like very different stuff, from like student wellbeing issues through to like various different campaigns that seem like very distant from that, and like having to do both at the same time is quite difficult in my experience.
That's a lot to take in, and I know that as the SU elections have come out, we've seen a lot of what you've been doing throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And although it's been a tough role, and especially coming out of COVID, as I've said to many candidates this evening, incumbents this evening, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of COVID, there's been a lot of difficulties, but in terms of the next person you're going to be announcing, of who's taking over the role, what advice do you have? I'm sure that you're going to be helping them throughout this term, but what advice would you have for them and any other SU staff joining us?
Probably to take SU staff seriously when they say that it's going to be hectic. I think I did, but like honestly, I couldn't have anticipated how busy you'll be from term one. So like, really use the time that you have before term one starts well, and get everything that you can possibly plan it, because you will literally have no time once term starts. So yeah, I think just prepare yourself for how hectic it's going to be, and make sure that you build rest into your routine. Otherwise, you'll burn out.
That's definitely a good one, and she mentioned building rest as a key one. So he was talking about taking days off, because he didn't take all the days off he needed for throughout the year. But in terms of what you've been planning this year, do you want to share a bit about what you've been doing in your role?
Yeah, so I think one of the big things I've been working on is cost of living, and trying to lobby the university to do more to support students. So I've obviously run the survey, and I've basically been using that to try and get the uni to do a bit more in terms of hardship fund, in terms of food and drink on campus, in terms of rent and whatnot. So I think that's one big thing. Also pushing for like more inclusive education, working on the disability code of practice, basically trying to make it sure that neither sort of the structure of education or costs actually sort of prevent people from being able to access their their education. I'd say those are big things, and also just in general, supporting international students and trying to sort of make sure that they're treated equally with home students. Obviously, they pay much higher fees, and many of them like sort of don't have the same experiences of support that home students do. So those would be my kind of three main things.
Yeah, all very important things to be engaging with in your role and just generally at university. I know I've seen some of the stuff with cost of living, and I think in this building, because Royal works upstairs in the SU, we see a bit more of what the SU officers and VPs do. But for societies and students watching who don't know, how do you think it would be best for them to engage in the resources and the campaigns you run throughout the year?
I think honestly, just email me. I'm always like happy to like speak to students and get them involved, take up their ideas. That's one of the things I love about this role, is just that how sort of free-flowing it is.
And the engagement with students.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've been working with students on lots of different things this year, so honestly, just sort of email me or email one of the other officers, and I'm sure they can direct you towards someone who can talk to you about how to get involved with stuff.
And it's been great hearing from Max, who's just won socks, about having to engage with the officers and making sure his colleagues are the first priority on his day one, and seeing that camaraderie of all officers come together is definitely something I've noticed. So yes, if people are unfamiliar with one officer, please get in touch with the other, because it's nice to see such a great team from the SU. But I think we're ready to head over to Will to announce the next officer.
Yep, obviously we are ready to announce the next Welfare and Campaigns officer who will be leading that role for the next academic year. So I'll hand it over to Tommy to do that.
Just need to find it. Okay, cool. Okay, so really excited to announce that the next VP Welfare and Campaigns is Anaya Nahal.
Hello. All right, this is a great day for me. Firstly, I'd like to say, first and foremost, thank you to my family for believing in me. Thank you to my campaign team for all of the hard work, every single moment of support you've given me, and every time you've shown up for me throughout this week and even beyond. And of course, thank you to every single person who voted for me. I can't wait to work on my campaigns to make this university and life on campus better for you.
Swap seats. We're getting ready for interviewing talking about varsity next. But congratulations on the role. I've seen you around the SU, because I believe you were.
I'm currently women's officer. Yeah.
So you are until the end of this academic year. But congratulations on the role. Firstly, how does it feel to win?
A bit surreal, honestly. Every single one of the candidates I was up against was great, and I really admire their manifesto promises as well. But it feels a bit surreal, honestly, at the moment.
It's been great to see such humility throughout the candidates, especially when there's been tough competitions for a lot of the roles. But you've got the role now, so what are you looking forward to doing with the manifesto and the things you've set out? What are you looking forward to planning for the next academic year?
I'm really excited, actually, to work on all of my manifesto promises, especially making campus safer. I want to tackle the rape culture on campus, as well as make community safety more accessible and efficient, using new technology like Safe Zone as well. I also want to make campus more affordable, so continuing the work that Tommy and Kieran have done and work on the cost of living crisis, as well as supporting clubs and societies and all of their campaigns that we feel a bit disconnected from the SU with. And of course, improving well-being and sort of accessibility for students.
It's been great. You've touched upon there quite a few groups that you're going to kind of connect with, and I remember at question times, a lot of people running for those roles were talking about how they can interact with different bodies and people who've been in the roles or in the SU that they haven't connected with so far. Do you think your role is quite a good one for working with the rest of the officers and the rest of the SU, and how do you think that's going to play out throughout the year?
That's a great question, actually. I think the role of welfare and campaigns is quite like a liaison role, I think. It's a good way to connect with a lot of different groups on campus, as you mentioned, as well as different full-time officers and part-time officers. So like Tommy and Kieran have done a lot of good work together. I've also worked with the cost of living crisis campaign, and I think it's a great opportunity to sort of connect a lot of ends of the SU that don't necessarily speak to each other, and yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun role for me.
So great to see so many candidates' enthusiasm throughout this evening, and I think, what are you most enthusiastic to kind of kick off the role with at the start of the year?
There's so much.
You can list more than one.
Okay, okay, thank you, I will. I'd say first and foremost, I'd say getting Safe Zone implemented, because currently Community Safety is doing a 3-month trial with it.
And what do you mean by that?
Okay, so Safe Zone is essentially, it's an app that'll make emergency access and sort of it will make people feel safer on campus, from what I know. Like, I've posted about it and I've explained what it is. It's sort of an app that if you're having, say, a mental health breakdown, you can call Wellbeing immediately and you will get a response. And you can call First Aid and you can call Community Safety if there's like a security breach. So I think I'd love to implement that, because at the moment I feel like a lot of students either directly call 999 or the ambulance, and some just don't know if community safety is available at certain times. I think I'd like to start off with that and making the self-defense classes permanent, which has been like a huge success so far that I've done with Emma as VP Sports.
That's fantastic. And one last question. First day in the job, you walk into the SU, you sit down at your desk, you log onto your laptop, you might check your emails, or who are you speaking? What can you expect from your first day? What are you most excited to do when you get in? Do you start at 9 a.m.? 9 a.m. when you get in on your first day? What are you excited for?
Honestly, having an office, because as part-time officer, we didn't get any offices to work in. So I would just be happy with that, to be honest. But yeah, no, still a bit surreal to me, but I'd be really excited to just work with everyone and get everyone's input on campaigns that I'm trying to work on. Just, yeah.
Great to hear so many newly elected officers. You can all come together quite easily because everyone's so excited to work together, and I'm sure you're all going to meet and discuss in the coming term before you start at the beginning of next academic year. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations again.
Thank you for setting all this up and for interviewing me. So.
I think we're about to hand over now to Will, who is our current head of news, but also our previous head of sport and our current head of sport here at Raw, to talk a bit about what else Raw has been up to this coming weeks, because we've had varsity as well.
Yeah, obviously varsity has been the big event that has also taken place on campus over the last few weeks. It was quite successful for Warwick, quite a very nearly a whitewash, and obviously as part of we covered it here at Raw 12:51 AM. I'm joined by James, our head of sport at Raw 12:51 AM, who headed up the coverage. And James, it's fair to say that the result, especially for Warwick, was a massive success.
I mean, as you said, Will, nearly whitewash. 28-2 result for Warwick in the end. I mean, we'll let men's cricket off. They've been doing some good charity work this week, so we'll let them off. But as you said, a really convincing result for Warwick, being able to win lots of different sports across the board. Sometimes some of them with other athletes at Bucks Nationals at the weekend. So a really good result for Warwick.
Yeah, and obviously Raw 12:51 AM provided that coverage, and it was a very, very ambitious coverage. I know I was your predecessor, head of sport, and it's fair to say, and I'll hold my hands up, you managed to cover way more events, obviously it being on one day, but very impressive. I think what was your mentality sort of going into it? Obviously you wanted to have those two streams, you wanted to cover as many sports as possible, and that takes a lot of planning, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we really did want to celebrate the successes of Team Warwick, and we know we've got some great teams here on campus that we really wanted to highlight with the coverage. And I really got to thank everyone that was involved to be able to bring the stream together, particularly those that are working behind the scenes with tech as well, to make sure everything ran really smoothly. Because, I mean, when you've got that whole day packed full of action, it's really difficult when you look at the schedule to actually pick sports. So we wanted to be there in the Sports and Wellness Hub, kind of be right inside the action, have the crowd cheering alongside us, and it was just a really exciting atmosphere, and we wanted to be there covering it.
Yeah, I know you've said it's difficult to pick sports, but I'm going to make you pick some now. Were there any personal highlights of the sports that you covered? Perhaps sports that were good, that you maybe thought would be good, but especially perhaps sports that you maybe haven't watched too much, but you went and watched it, you went and covered it, and you found yourself almost gripped by the action.
Oh, that's a difficult question, Will. I mean, we really enjoyed all of our coverage, all of our headline sports. We had great games in the volleyball, really decisive wins. The same for the netball as well. And I mean, everyone loves a bit of dodgeball every now and again. So to be able to cover that as well was pretty good. Should also give a shout out to the swimming and water polo team, because it really was a team effort from swimming and water polo. With a lot of the swimmers at Bucks Nationals in Sheffield, lots of water polo players had to step up and kind of step up to the blocks and swim for Warwick, and they managed to come away with a 13-11 win. I mean, I didn't particularly help, unfortunately. I managed, just as our coverage ended, I managed to run to the sports centre and unfortunately didn't quite win the 200 free for Warwick, but a really great effort all round from Team Warwick.
Yeah, I guess you were almost in a unique position of taking part in varsity as well as covering it. Was there one you preferred, or did they both have their highlights on what was a very intense day for you?
Well, I have to say that doing a 200 free without a warm-up is not the most sensible decision I've ever made in my swimming career, but it was great to be able to take part in both of those two aspects of varsity, kind of there supporting and they're competing as well, so really getting that full teamwork experience.
Yeah, and for anyone that maybe didn't attend varsity this year but saw how successful it was, what would you say to them for perhaps next year or the year after to encourage them to come down to the Sports and Wellness Hub to support Team Warwick? Obviously, a lot of the sports candidates this year emphasising that sports clubs aren't just part of their own sports clubs. We're all part of one Team Warwick. So is there anything you say to get people perhaps think, if they were thinking about attending next year, what would you say to push them over the edge?
Well, I mean, hopefully we captured some of that amazing atmosphere. I know at one point on the stream, we both had instruments from volleyball that they very kindly lent us. So you get that sort of atmosphere when you're there supporting. But, I mean, why not try out and see what sports clubs there are for you to take part in? Because we've got lots of different sports clubs here on campus. Lots of them would be really excited to welcome you and to welcome people who may have not even tried that sport before. We had Amelie on from Women's Rugby Union beforehand in our preview show, saying how by the varsity the year before she hadn't actually picked up a rugby ball. So, and then was there part of the team kind of really embedded. So, I mean, these are the different things that make university sports so amazing.
Yeah, and thank you to James for giving us that interview. Obviously, varsity will be back next year. We've spoken to Emma Birch, maybe in a slightly different format, but we will obviously have to wait and see. We're gonna go back to Rebecca Cole now, because I think we've got another result to announce, don't we?
We are ready to announce the rest of the full-time officers. So thank you, Will and James, for that interesting discussion about varsity there. But the next result, and we're going to head over to Education VP now. For those who don't know, the Education VP will work to ensure that every student's academic experience is as good as possible, including ensuring that all marginalised and mature students receive equal academic opportunities. They will work through the academic rep system to achieve positive change to students' learning experience, and will raise students' academic issues at the highest levels of the university. To announce the result, please welcome back your current Education VP, Shi Shanglo.
Hi there. I'm happy to announce the winner. So, the winner of this election for VP Education is Holly Ruff.
Hello. I just want to thank my campaign manager, Ben Alphen, who has done a lot this week to help me, not only on the ground, but has been a great friend to work alongside. I want to thank Sylvia and Carl, who have also done a lot to help me. I haven't been very well this week, so it's been quite tough. There's something going around, but I got through it. I'm so excited to go home and sleep. Thank you to everyone who voted.
Holly, well done on the victory. First off, congratulations. How are you feeling?
Yeah, as I said, I'm very tired right now, but I'm good. It's good.
Yeah, we won't keep you for too long. Is there anything, as part of your manifesto, obviously you had a number of proposals. What would you think, what is going to be your first priority when you do get into the role in a few months' time?
I guess personally it's always going to be accessibility for me. I guess it's kind of like my big priority as a disabled student myself is what I'm experienced in. I want to make sure that disabled students at this university are being treated with the fairness and the equalities that they deserve. I don't think that's been happening in the past years. So I really want to prioritise working with the disabled student officer to get that on track. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, you've sort of taken the question out of my mouth. Are you looking forward to working with the other student officers, especially those that can help you achieve your objectives?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to also working with postgrad officers to understand more about postgrad issues, because obviously I'm not a postgrad student, I haven't been a postgrad student, so I know I'll need to do a lot of work to support mature students, also international student officers. I want to work with those to understand all of the issues that I won't understand myself.
Yeah, and is there anything you can maybe say to people that did vote for you that they can look forward to as part of your role, obviously, as well as the accessibility proposals that we've already spoken about?
Yeah, I just want to say that I want to always put students first, and that I will always be like open to be communicated with. I'm going to make sure that everyone can come to me, and I'm not going to be like unapproachable. Everyone can talk to me, email me, whenever.
Yeah, and Holly, congratulations once again on your win. We're going to go back to Rebecca Cole, who has another result to announce.
Well done to Holly. And our penultimate result of the evening, we are ready to announce the results of the postgraduate VP race. Now, the candidates aren't here this evening, but I'll still be making the announcement. For those who don't know, postgraduates make up about 40% of all students at Warwick, and the postgraduate officer is here to help each and every one of them make the most of their student experience. They will work closely with the education officer to ensure that the postgraduates are equally represented within the university, and will work within the SU to ensure that it delivers the most and the best for our postgraduates. So without further ado, congratulations to Vaishnavi Ravi for winning the postgraduate VP race. Now, they can't be here this evening, but we are soon to move on to the presidential role this evening. And now this is the final result of the Big Decision 2023. Thank you so much for sticking around. We're about to announce it, and it's the one you've all been waiting for those who are still joining us. After days of intense campaigning, questions, and absolute social media posts, as we've all seen, we've arrived at the announcement of your next student union president. Unfortunately, Will Brewer cannot make it here this evening, your current SU president, but we'll go over to Shishang Lo now to discuss the role of Pres.
Shishang, welcome back. Obviously, we sort of dragged you on here. Will Brewer unfortunately couldn't make it, but I think working as part of the SU for 2 years has given you quite a good idea of what the president of the SU, maybe what role they have, maybe the role that students see, but also the role that they do behind the scenes, the role that students maybe don't see on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, sure. So the president is the student leader of the Students' Union. They are also sort of the leader of the officer team. They sort of, make sure our welfare is in check, but also sort of galvanize the team, make sure we are, working together, and also helping us where needs be. Beyond that, they also work within the SU on a lot of internal matters, whether it be the financial element. For example, they're the chair of the Board of Trustees, and so they have an important role in looking after the union's affairs, along with the CEO within the Students' Union. Externally, they have a massive part to play in relation to stakeholder management in the university, so they get to have a lot of connections with higher up people in the university, such as the Vice Chancellor, etc., etc. And that's something which is quite important, because managing stakeholders is good for maintaining relations, and sort of when issues come up, that can be dealt with through those relationships, etc., etc.
And obviously that is what the president does. But what do you think students? What do you think students should expect of their next president? Obviously, they are the forefront of the relationship between students and the university that they go to. They are exceptionally important. So do you think there's anything particular that students should expect from the president of the SU, and especially, obviously, the new president that we're about to announce?
So they are the main sort of figurehead, perhaps? Yeah, pretty good word to use, of the Students' Union. So they will be the main point of contact between the SU and students in sort of when it comes to relaying information. I think one example is the weekly newsletter, which always gets sent, which I'm sure everyone here reads on a weekly basis, of course. But also sort of, leading when it comes to sort of major issues which are encroaching on university students at Warwick. For example, cost of living is an issue which is quite pertinent at the moment. And so like issues such as cost of living, how the president should be taking a lead on that and sort of working with the fellow officers on it as well. So sort of leading on those issues, etc.
Yeah. And obviously, although you aren't president of the SU, what advice would you have for the candidates? I know a number of them are on the current SU team, but what advice would you have for them, as knowing what maybe Will or his predecessor Shingai did? What advice would you have for them to take that step up, take the step up to student union president?
So you meaning advice to the next
advice
president?
to the next president.
Cool. The officer team is always a broad church of different views and different opinions on many different issues. My best advice is sort of listen to everyone and sort of try and reach some sort of consensus when there's disagreement. Try and find a way forward when it comes to issues you may not necessarily agree on with certain people, but sort of work to find that middle ground. Everyone has a right to their opinion. Everyone has a right to what their opinions are on certain issues. As a president, it's really important to listen to it because, effectively, we as SABs, we represent students, and if, you've got to listen to what everyone's saying. So it's just that communication and that listening skill, which is really important, and that's my sort of advice I'll give.
Yeah, well, obviously, Shisheng has given his advice there, and we are ready now to announce the big result of the night. We're going to go back to Rebecca and announce who your next Student Union President for 2023 and 2024 will be.
Yeah, thanks so much, Will and Chi, for that discussion there. As you can tell, and if you haven't already, the president is the main face of the SU, and your next president will be responsible for promoting your interests to external bodies, acting on behalf of the team and the main representatives you've seen here this evening. Now, as we say, Wilbur, our current president, can't be here this evening, but our current DDO is back again to give the speech and announce the winner on Will's behalf.
Yeah, so Will sent in a speech, so just imagine he would be here. So it is my great honour and privilege to announce that the winner of the 2023 SU election for president is Anna Taylor. I would like to give a massive congratulations to Anna for winning the election to be your SU president next year. I've seen firsthand this year the tireless effort she has put in to improving society's experiences and their relationship with the SU. She successfully fought for a reduced federation fee and increased the student activities team, always putting societies first. She was always keen to hear everyone's opinion and be a caring, thoughtful and decisive lead representative for the students. I would also like to recognise the other candidate who ran for president, in particular Tommy. He has run an excellent campaign and will always be the first to throw his hat into the ring to fight for the students, for the best interests of students. He's led the work this year on the cost of living, and quite frankly, we couldn't have done it without him. And he will always be a highly valued member of the officer team. However, tonight is Anna's night, and I honestly believe that she will be one of the best presidents we have seen over my time at Warwick, and I look forward to seeing what she can achieve. So let me welcome for the first time your SU President-elect, Anna Taylor.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Will, in absentia, for that speech. That's wholesome. I want to say a quick thank you to all of the people that have helped me campaign this week. It's been a long one. I think most of the candidates will agree that. It's been cold. Not many people have wanted to talk about the SU elections, especially after Monday and Tuesday. And it's been kind of a privilege to have so many just really dependable people around me helping me get through it. Swada, love you. And I didn't get to thank you last year because we were both running in different campaigns, but you are genuinely so important to me and you are like a backbone for me. Thank you for your help. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. I know they're not here, but my film talk buddies again. They always come out in full force when I need them. Liv, I love you. I'm sorry I didn't let you paint my signs. I'm going to forget everyone, so I won't go through everyone now. But film talk, I love you a lot. Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of crack on. I've been watching who's been elected for all of the other positions. I'm so excited to work with them all. Hopefully it's going to be a great year. And thank you for everyone who voted for me. I'm not taking this lightly. I'm going to take this job seriously and treat it with the respect it deserves because I really believe in this union. I believe in what I can be and I really believe in what I can do for the students. And I'm just so excited to see what we can do next year.
Congratulations, Anna. Welcome back. Highlights of getting elected. How does it feel right now?
Bit surreal. This wasn't how I thought this week was going to go. But yeah, I'm a little bit overwhelmed, but very, very happy and very, very excited.
We've had a lot of a bit surreals, but sinking in now and getting ready to take over that presidential role in the next term. I mean, you've had, as a lot of candidates have, a cracking manifesto that I'm sure you're ready to implement.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I'm just excited to kind of, I think a lot of the things that I really want to focus on, I couldn't quite get to focus on as SOCS officer just because there's so much other stuff that needs doing and it fell to me, and I'm just quite excited to start expanding what I can focus on and actually starting to address some of the things that maybe I couldn't quite do as VP for some.
Are there any particular parts of your manifesto, anything that you're looking at as maybe your first priority for maybe also while president, but you could probably start work on that as SOCS officer currently?
Yeah, so I think the first and kind of a really significant point that I think is going to be on everyone's agenda for quite a while is the cost of living crisis. We know it's hitting everyone really hard right now. I've started work a little bit on having conversations about the way that we structure our society's federation fee, for example, and seeing kind of ways in the society's area where we can try and reduce prices. But I think it's really important that as a union we're really conscious of what affordability means, the fact that that's a changing concept for a lot of people right now, and that we match what is affordable as much as possible to our members so that they're not feeling that we contribute to the way that the cost of living crisis affects their life. So I think we need to be really careful about how we price things in our outlets, where we expect members to pay for our services, and try and start driving down those prices as much as possible.
It's great that you've picked up on your agenda, not just your agenda, but what is on a lot of agendas cost of living wise. I'm sure there's a lot of overlap between what you want to do and maybe the SOCS officer as that's your current position. How do you anticipate collaborating with the rest of the VPs throughout the year?
I mean, as I said a second ago, I'm so excited to work with them all. I think it's a fantastic bunch of people that have kind of run and got the positions. I'm conscious I don't want to backseat SOCS officer Max. I tend to kind of do that sometimes. So I want to leave off as much as possible and take the lead from him. I think that the president role, it's important in the role that you bring together the varied voices that are going to be in our officer team and represent that as best as possible in as a cohesive way as possible, so that we as a union can look put together and like we know what we're talking about, because we do. And I think the first priority there has to be having a really strong and kind of like dependable relationship and kind of an open kind of dialogue between all of the VPs, and make sure that we're actually working really collaboratively together, so that we're all advancing each other's agendas as much as possible. So looking forward to working with them all.
Yeah, and just to finish off, obviously it is a lot of hard work, but I'm sure there is some fun that comes into it. So is there anything you're really looking forward to most about being president over the next academic year?
This might be a cheeky one, but I want to reorganise the office because currently the president desk is like in its own little corner and it's like on high. I want to change that. I think we'll remodel the office and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, well, obviously, we'll let you do that. And once again, congratulations to you, to Anna, for becoming our next SU president for the next academic year.
I think another round of applause for everyone. Thank you. If you don't mind accepting that way. But thanks so much. Congratulations to Anna and the rest of the officers we've announced this evening. There's such a buzz with them coming on. I hope it's sunk in now a little bit for you all because obviously they get told just before they come on air. So I hope it's sunk in a little bit because there was a lot of being overwhelmed, not really sure whether they've actually won or not, but I think it's sunk in by now, right?
Yeah, hopefully so. Congratulations to all of the part-time officers and full-time officers that did win, and also congratulations to all of the candidates that did run as well. And we're finished. We've elected all of the officers. The big decision is over.
Yes.
It's been a very, very good night. We really hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, all the announcements have been made, and the only thing we have to do now is take down this entire set, which I'm sure is going to be another big job. But no, thank you so much, Will, for the amazing job you've done with the big decision this year as our head of news. You should be proud. So should the rest of our team. I think the only thing we have to do now is thank you to everyone currently stood behind the cameras and the rest of the team for being involved this evening, and another congratulations to all the winning candidates.
Yeah, obviously again from me as well. Thank you to Rebecca for being such a great co-host and also being such a great station manager for the entire year. And like we said, this couldn't have been done with just us. We've got a large team behind the camera all watching me intently. But no, they've all been incredibly helpful. We couldn't have done it without everyone else. But yep, I've been Will Kingswood, your head of news here at Raw.
And I'm Rebecca Cole, nearly coming to the end of my station manager role here at Raw. And this has been the Big Decision 2023.
Yeah, thank you for watching.